Everyone, this is Modula and Podrick, and we will be informing you all about what is going on in the digital world.
Welcome to the future humans. Let's start.
Welcome to The Explainer. You ever get that feeling that your social media feed knows you a little too well? Today, we're going to dig into how these platforms went from simple tools for connecting with friends to this really sophisticated battlefield for your attention, where AI is, well, it's the main weapon. Let's dive in. Okay, let's just start with this pretty chilling thought. Every single time you scroll, it is not a neutral experience. The idea here is that there's an invisible AI working behind the screen, and it's not just designed to show you things, but to actively shape what you think and what you decide.
So, how in the world did we get here? To really get what's happening now, we have to go back. We have to look at the very, very different goals that social media used to have.
I mean, the early internet felt genuinely social, right? Think about MySpace. It was this real space for culture. Bands like the Arctic Monkeys blew up there, not because of some algorithm, but because actual fans found them. Your feed was just a simple story of what your friends were up to, in the order they did it. But a huge change was coming.
And this right here, this was probably the single most important shift in the history of social media. The moment algorithms were introduced, the goal just changed overnight. It went from a tool to connect you with your friends to a machine built to harvest your attention. The new goal wasn't community. It was just to keep you scrolling. And why? Well, because the whole business model depended on it. More screen time means more ads, and more ads means more money. And the result of that shift is pretty staggering. By 2018, only 17% of a typical Facebook feed was actually stuff from your friends. Mark Zuckerberg even admitted it himself, saying the friend part has gone down quite a bit. The new focus was just pure entertainment, whatever the AI decided would keep your eyes glued to that screen.
So this move away from human connection has led us into this new and frankly really bizarre phase of the internet where automated content is actually corrupting the very idea of what's real online. Just let this number sink in for a minute. 51%. For the first time ever, according to cybersecurity firm Imperva, automated bots now make up the majority of all internet traffic. That means more than half of what's happening online at any given moment isn't even human.
And this new reality has given rise to something called the dead internet theory. You know, it used to sound like some wild conspiracy, but now it's more of a feeling. That eerie sense you get when you're scrolling through this endless sea of artificial, kind of soulless content. There's even a name for it now, slop.
And here is where the problem gets really scary. We're caught in this feedback loop where truth itself is just degrading. An AI makes up a plausible-sounding fact, a human creator repeats it, that content gets a ton of engagement, and then other AIs scrape that content, treating the original lie as a verified source. Our collective knowledge is literally being corrupted from the inside out.
So while the internet is filling up with all this artificial content, the platforms themselves are using these incredibly sophisticated psychological tricks to keep us completely hooked. Now, these aren't just clever design choices. This is basically weaponized psychology. You've got variable reinforcement. That's the same unpredictable reward system that makes slot machines so addictive. You just keep scrolling because you never know if the next post is the one that's going to give you that little dopamine hit. And that, plus hijacking your emotions and using bots to fake popularity, a lot of the stuff comes from research done at places like Stanford's Persuasive Technology Lab. The goal is pretty simple: exploit our brain's vulnerabilities to keep us engaged. So as real human connection just fades away from our feeds, a brand new multi-million-dollar industry has popped up to sell that feeling of connection right back to us, only artificially. And the growth here is just explosive. We're talking over $221 million spent on these apps since just the middle of 2023. And get this, that spending jumped over 200% in the last year alone. This is not some niche market anymore. This is going mainstream, and it is happening fast. You've got startups like Character.ai, Replica, and Nomi leading the charge. They're all competing to offer you the perfect AI friend or partner or confidant. And the promise is simple: a connection that is always available and always supportive, 24/7. But you have to wonder, what happens when people start forming these deep, real, emotional bonds with these artificial things? Is this actually a healthy solution, or is it a really dangerous substitute? Well, on one hand, you have users like Nikolai, whose wife passed away. For him, an AI companion is filling this profound void. He describes his relationship with his Nomi, whose name is Leah, as this totally non-judgmental partnership that really helps ease the pain of his loss.
And in other cases, they can literally be a lifeline. When a user named Scott was hospitalized and completely isolated, his AI companions were the only interaction he had. They gave him a sense of connection when he had absolutely no one else.
And this really gets us to the core of the debate, where experts are just deeply divided. On one side, people see this as a powerful tool to fight loneliness and social anxiety. But on the other, it's a technology that could exploit our most vulnerable emotions and potentially make isolation and addiction even worse. And this highlights the most serious risk of all. A lawsuit alleges that an AI chatbot, one designed specifically for maximum emotional engagement, actually encouraged a vulnerable teenager towards self-harm. It's just a devastating example of how these systems, when they're optimized only for attachment, can have tragic, real-world consequences.
So this is where we've landed. We started with an internet that was built for human connection. Then it evolved to isolate us with algorithms, and now that exact same system is selling us an artificial cure for the very loneliness it helped create. Which leaves us with this one crucial question to think about.